Hello, and welcome to our Friday live stream. We are on day 9 of our daily live streams to celebrate our 20-year in practice. And every day we'll come in for 20 days answering your questions. And today we are focusing on some questions that we got over the past few days, specifically why USCIS is transferring cases. So if you're watching this, wherever you're watching this in the world, please let me know. Type your name and you can join on the live stream. And I'll drop the comment here. We had some technical difficulties. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks, Daniel. But we're back here every single day until February 6th, when we end our 20-day challenge, and then we'll be back just on a regular day basis streaming here. So drop your questions, join us live on video, depending where you're from in the world, and we are here with our TikTok community as well. And we'll get to you guys, of course, in the order. And yeah, let me know what you guys doing. This is Friday. We are all here. So curious to know what you're up to. How was your week? We're going to join with our TikTok community as well in a minute. So yeah, excellent. We've got Teles is asking a question. Yeah, please put your questions in the comment, and I will answer your question. Eliana is asking, any immigration proposal for this year for the 12 million people waiting for status? So I expect with this is an elections year, so I think definitely there's going to be some kind of proposal. I mean, I don't know what it is, but something will happen. Welcome those of you watching this on TikTok as well. We had some difficulties to connect before, so we're like 10 minutes late. So yeah, just let me know where you're from as well, and drop your questions, guys. That's what we're here for. Friday night, I'm with you guys. Let's see here. Herc, is any news for overstayed people? So, I mean, right now there's not too many things. The only thing that I announced it a couple of days ago in a video, I actually put it on TikTok, and it's in the YouTube Shorts. So basically, there is a kind of like a policy change that if you are in the United States on a particular status and you want to update your status and you already lost it, you overstayed, then they might allow you to change your status if you have special circumstances that will excuse why you stay longer. So that's something that I posted on TikTok and on YouTube Shorts. So you can read about this update, and I'm going to make a longer video on YouTube later this week. Dr. King is asking, good night. Why is USCIS taking so long with my case for my green card? Again, it depends where somebody filed and where you are in the process. Some people are definitely feeling the delays in their processing. And also, people asking me, why is USCIS transferring these cases, moving from office to an office? So, like I said, it's not necessarily a bad thing that they're moving your case. Specifically with 601A waivers, 601 cases, even with U visas. The reason they do that is because they want to, probably they're working on your case. They're trying to, do something with the file. So it's not like, at least they're not sitting on it. So moving your file is not a bad thing. Don't worry about it. All right, we got a lot of good questions here, both on YouTube and on TikTok. So if you guys are watching this on YouTube, you can join the video. The video, we have the video call. You can ask a question on video. And I posted the link right here. Here we go. You can see it again, right there. Ted is asking on TikTok, how can I check which embassy has shorter interview waiting times? So there is no consolidated website that tells you which embassy has quicker wait time. But what you can do is, look in forums, check videos on YouTube, like other attorneys, and including our law firm. We're posting videos, updating. And you can also email the different embassies, make yourself a list of embassies that you want to be able to move your case to. And based on that, you can, there's no database that says that. Trav USA says, can I apply for I-130 and 601A at the same time? Yeah, absolutely. So the I-130 is the family petition. The 601A is the waiver. You can apply for it, but remember that, because they have different processing times, the sooner you apply for the waiver, the sooner you'll be able to get an adjudication. Right now, these waivers are taking about 3 years. So yeah, for sure. No issue with filing the waiver at the same time as the I-130. Pilar is asking, in June, it's been 2 years since I got my work permit, but nothing else. What should I do? So I assume, Pilar, it's because of an adjustment of status. You filed it, but they haven't sent you anything. Like I said, it could be a delay in your case, could be many things. I mean, you need to be proactive and follow up with USCIS until you find out what's happening with your case. But it's definitely unusual that it's going to take so long. And once again, thanks for the hearts and the likes. We have so many people that come here every day for the lives, and I appreciate all of you, both on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Janice is asking, where is your office, and can you take cases from all 50 states? And the answer is yes. We are in San Diego, California. We have an office in Connecticut, and but we take clients in all 50 states. Immigration is federal, so we can do this in all 50 states. If you're watching this on TikTok, the best thing to do is just send me a DM right now, or use the link in the bio. And if you guys watching this on YouTube, then you can use this number here, and here. You can text this number and book a time to speak with us, mention you were on the live, and get a preference to speak with me or one of our experts. All right, we've got Monica on YouTube is going to go on video and ask her question. Monica, welcome. Where are you from? And ask one question.
Welcome. Thank you. I'm actually in Houston. I have a question because I work with kind of like a local part of town where there's a lot of Hispanic folks. So they're always asking me questions. And somebody brought to my attention a policy alert that came out in August where it's talking about the 3-year and 10-year bar, kind of stating that the understanding is that anybody that filed after June 24th of 22 would not need a 601A, but that's still very unclear to me. When I've read that policy guideline, I've tried to get more information, but I just can't seem to find. Do you know anything about that?
Right. So I think what you're talking about is, these people that, the date of filing that they filed their petition, but it's also a policy that allows people to wait for their 3 to 10-year bar in the US if they had a legal entry after they were exposed to the bar. That was the biggest policy that came out last year. And so a lot of people, what happened that they're forced to wait for the 3 to 10-year bar overseas. But under this policy, they can wait for their expiration of their bar inside the United States. But it's not applying to all of them. There are different levels of people. Depends on when they entered. Depends on when they filed.
Okay, so how do they know? It's like somebody that say that's been here 20 years. Would they be able to file?
So what they need to do is, I recommend for anybody who's been here more than 10 years, they need to order their FOIA. so the attorneys can review and see exactly how many entries they have. And this applies to everybody. If you have any immigration history, they should apply for their FOIA, and then based on their FOIA, we can determine if they qualify for this law or not.
Okay.
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 But if you have any specific questions about a particular client, you're welcome to contact me directly as well.
Yeah, because like I said, people come to me and I'm just like, I'm not
Yeah, please. Just use this number and let me know that you were on the live.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. We've got a lot of questions here on TikToks, the hearts and the likes. Appreciate it. And don't forget, we have another bold goal, inspiring immigrants. Amy's asking, my portal never changed since I applied for 601A on 2021. Is it normal? It's the USCIS. They're not always updating the system, so it doesn't mean that there's a problem in your case. But I would still be proactive and follow up with immigration and check on your case. So this way, make sure that you're fine. We've got a lot of good questions here. Any updates on DACA? So this is from Jerry. As I mentioned yesterday, currently there's not really any changes with DACA. Thanks a lot, Pervian. Appreciate it. There's not any changes with DACA, but you can file for renewals, and you can get work permits, and you can get travel documents. We're waiting for some kind of a court hearing coming up, probably sometime in the spring, and that probably will be sent to the Supreme Court. So, but for the moment, new DACAs cannot be sent. That's what we know right now. So, hopefully we'll have some better changes. There will be definitely a lot of new bills coming up after February. You're going to see, as we're going to near November, the election time. Thanks, Cram. You're going to see that there's going to be a lot more bills pushed in there. All right, let's see. We've got a lot more comments here coming from YouTube. Rebert is asking, can I, as a petitioner, a U.S. citizen, expedite request for an interview? Spouse case, prior date is 2021, and the Q date is November 2023. Yeah, absolutely. As a U.S. citizen, you can file for an expedite at NVC because you're already current and your dates are current. If whether they're going to be approved or not, that's a different question, but I think you should definitely try it at least once or twice, because right now they're really, really slow. So I would definitely do it. That's a great question from Lau. Can I change my address after filing with USCIS? Is it advisable? Does it delay the process? It's actually required. If you move, you have to update your address within 10 days. If you're not, I've seen people that were penalized at the interview, if they had an interview. And so, yeah, definitely change your address within 10 days of moving. We've got David is asking, how long is the forgiveness taking? Will it take faster this year? So you assume that the question is for I-601. How long is 601 waivers are taking? 601 waivers are taking about 3 years. I do believe it's going to be faster at the second part of this year. I can definitely see that a lot of applications will move a little bit faster. So definitely something to be hopeful about. All right, really good questions here. Cram is asking, what circumstances are you telling about on that new policy for overstaying? Okay, so let me explain the question. So I posted a video a couple of days ago about this new policy that, so let's say you're here on a tourist visa, let's say you're here on a student visa, on a work visa, and somehow you're not able to change status on time or extend your status. So typically people like that are considered to be overstay, and there's nothing they can do unless they marry you a citizen. Well, there's this new policy that came out a few days, and they said, let's say you have special circumstances. Let's say you are applying for your H-2B visa, for example. This is the reason why they've done this. Because of the H-2B visa, they started to change this policy. So you're here on an H-2B visa, for example, and you're waiting for labor certification from your employer to be able to get your extension on your visa with immigration. But your employer forgot to do it, was late, didn't want to do it for whatever reason. And as a result, you couldn't extend your visa on time. And now you overstayed. So that's beyond your control. That's circumstances. That's not your fault. Now you can go back to immigration 6 months later, a year later, and say, hey guys, this is what happened. Now I have an option to change my status again. I want to do it. That's one situation. Another situation is that, let's say you were here and you had some kind of a medical situation. You couldn't possibly renew your visa on time. Something happened. You can prove it. That could be circumstances. Something else that would be, which means that you didn't have knowledge about a certain thing, that maybe it's a lot of things to do with the employer. First, it's not going to be about personal situations, but it's already an opportunity to argue if you do overstay and it happened beyond your control and you just found out, that you could still at least try to fight and come back into status with this new policy. Again, it's not a magic pill, but it's something that will help a lot of people. Can you help my sister find a job as a nurse? Well, we are not a recruitment agency. We are just attorneys. I can help her with the green card once she finds a job, but we're not here to help. We're not recruiters, okay? But of course, we can talk to the employers. We can help explain to them what they have to do, especially with EB3 visas. We have a program where we communicate with employers on your behalf once you find them, and we explain them what they have to do, educate them, and then eventually they sponsor you. We've got Olk, who's asking a question on YouTube. And can you hear me, Olk? Olk is not here. We've got Bismarck is asking, what does it mean to receive a message from MVC? Your case has been escalated after opting out of the F1 back to F2B. Will I be receiving an interview soon in Paris? It means that they received your request to move your category from one to another, and they will be processing your application, sending it to the embassy, and hopefully you'll get an interview soon because you're now current. Leila is asking, how often does MVC send interviews out to Ciudad Juarez? Thank you. So it really depends on, again, as I mentioned before, the embassies, they don't tell us how often and when do they send interviews to the different consulates. But what we do is we look at current processing of clients in our firm and other firms and other forums that we track. So, it depends. Usually they're a little bit slow beginning of the year. So if you have if you're watching this and you have an interview in Mexico, Ciudad Juarez, specifically that particular consulate, there's definitely a slowdown early in the year, but then they pick up the pace around May and June, and hopefully towards the end of the year, you're going to see more interviews scheduled. But for now, it's really slow. AA is asking, when you get your green card through marriage, do you have to work in order to get your citizenship? So the answer is you don't have to work necessarily because you have a sponsor. The U.S. citizen is your sponsor. So even if you apply for citizenship, if you don't have a job, you just have to explain to them. I mean, ideally, it's better if you work, obviously. But if you're not working, you have to explain to the USCIS why you're not working and what is the reason. Like how do you make a living? You know what I mean? Now, if you're married and you tell them that your spouse is supporting you, then it's fine. Dergen is asking a good question. So you have a CR1 visa, IR1 visa, and now there's a divorce. What are the consequences? So it's a permanent green card through the embassy. I assume that you're getting divorced before coming to the United States. It could be a problem, right? Because yes, you got the visa when you're still married, but now you're not married anymore. So they could potentially, you might have to find a different way to get your status. But I really need to know how far you are in the process. If you already got your IR1 visa, that means you already have a green card technically. So if you come to the United States, The only thing that's going to happen is that you won't be able to apply for, thanks, Alex, you won't be able to apply for your citizenship after 3 years. Can you get a visa if you get hurt at work? So let me see here. We've got, you can, and it depends on the situation. If it's hostility at work, it may be a T visa situation. If it's some violence, it could be a U visa. I mean, it really depends on the case. We'll have to see more. But retaliation at work, hostility, boss is threatening you because you're an immigrant, that could be a T visa situation, actually. So you definitely want to consider it. Kevin, here we go, Kevin, I had an interview based on marriage today. I got a hard interview. I would like to ask you super hard questions. No lawyer can answer me. Kevin, if you want to ask specific questions that no lawyer can answer you, I'm happy to do it. Maybe you want to keep those questions private. So just use this number here. You can see this number on the screen, and send me a message and say that you saw me on the live and you have specific questions for me, and the team will schedule you for a call with me. All right, Kevin? So just mention your name and I will remember your name. So, and by the way, it's kind of like maybe the fourth, fifth comment or question. People are saying that they had very different, because, interviews are still being waived, but less. And people that are getting interviews, they report getting hard interviews in UCIS, like hard marriage case interviews. And I'm talking about people that are getting interviews that are longer than an hour, which wasn't unusual. It wasn't usual before. We're talking about, maybe I'll make a video about it. People that are being questioned over the same questions at the same interview. It's almost like kind of psychological tactics that UCIS officers are using. So I don't know if it's because of they have more people right now. But if you had a hard interview about your green card, maybe you can tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear more. And so we're gonna collect this info, and maybe we'll do something about it. Put together some pressure on them to explain why they're doing this. But if you did have, yes. Mohammed is asking, can you apply for a green card through the EB2 or EB3 while you are pending asylum? So the answer is yes. If you have asylum, yes, and depends. And I explain why. If you have asylum and you apply for the asylum before you fell out of status, right? So before you lost your status, then you can switch to an EB3 or EB2 green card inside the United States. But if you apply for asylum and you were already out of status, it's going to be tricky. It's still doable, but it's very tricky. And I wouldn't recommend to do it unless you speak with an attorney. Ola is trying to get a video question. Are you interested in, can you hear me, Ola? All right. So we've got VIP English. How long are your clients' 601 waivers taking to be answered? Right now, 601 waivers are over 3 years. In most places, it's over 3 years. D Rose is asking, does tourists who overstayed for years, can they still fix their status like extension for their visa? Typically, D Rose, no, but if there are special circumstances, maybe. I mean, you like I said, you really have to look in your case, because normally you cannot. Once you overstay, it's very, very difficult to change your status. I'm trying. There's a lot of questions. I'm gonna get to as many as I can, guys. And always, like I said, if you do need something urgent, please use the DM option on TikTok and use the link in my bio in TikTok to be able to schedule appointments. Specifically, if you go on the live, you will get priorities as much as we can. Thanks for the hearts. I appreciate it. Thanks, Rosanna. And don't forget, we have the little challenge, the ice cream challenge. I want to see some people are hitting that challenge as well. Let's see here. Honey, can I apply for citizenship while waiting for my replacement green card? So people are asking, it's a common question, came up yesterday. Can you apply for your citizenship when you have your 751 removal of conditions still pending? And the answer is yes, but they're not going to approve your citizenship until they will adjudicate your 751. Thibault is asking, I applied for advanced parole and got a cancellation notice for request for additional evidence. What is that? Did they cancel your advanced parole? It's possible that maybe they feel that you don't meet the requirements and they want to get more clarification. That's why they sent you request for more evidence. I assume that's what it is, but you're welcome to send me a DM and explain what exactly is in the request for evidence. We have a question from Muhammad, an interesting question, which I'll make a video about it. I'm a 60-year-old and I'm getting married to a 30-year-old. Do you think it's difficult to get a green card? It's kind of, there's no rule that says that you cannot be older than your spouse, than your immigrant spouse, but definitely you might experience some scrutiny at immigration because of the age difference. But and it's specifically, weirdly enough, they are more concerned when the woman is older than the man. I mean, in your case, you are the man, so you're older than her. So I don't think it's gonna be an issue. But if it's a reverse, that's when I see a lot of issues. Thanks, AA, appreciate it. Let's get that challenge up so we can reach our goal, inspiring immigrants. Rajesh is asking, can I expedite my spouse visa petition F2A based on N400 pending? Goal, 50% reached. No. So F2A, and I'm making a video about this coming up next week. F2A is a category of visas that's set up by Congress, right? So if there's currently no visas available under the F2A category, that means it's because there's no visas. Okay. Thanks, Efrat. Appreciate it. We've got Efrat here and AA. Thanks a lot for the hearts. Appreciate it, guys. You're the best. We're almost reaching our goal of 50 ice creams. So there's no way to expedite the F2A because there are no visas available. The demand exceeds the visas they have right now. We did it, guys. We met the goal. And as a result, you can do it. It doesn't matter what the reason is. Nobody can expedite F2As because there's just not enough visas available. And that's the reason why people have to wait in line. Kay is asking, how long does USCIS take to consider an RFE response? We sent it to my wife 2 months ago. No response yet. So just so you know, when you respond to requests for evidence, whether it's a marriage case, whether it's an employment case, doesn't matter what it is, typically it's taken about 4 to 5 months to receive an answer from them after you respond. I mean, they're very slow right now. So if you have, that's what I'm saying, try to avoid the request for evidence. If you can avoid the request for evidence, that's the best you can do, because then your case will not be delayed. So that means missing documents, missing medical, missing supporting documents. All these things will delay your file. All right. So GIR is asking, what do I do if I lost my green card before the oath ceremony? So that's a good question. So as you know, you pass your citizenship, you still have your green card. Now you have your oath ceremony and you show up and you don't have your green card, you lost it. What you need to do is if you lost it, you need to file a claim that it was lost. You bring a copy and you make a statement that your green card is lost. And it's very important because they don't want people to keep their green card. So they will put a notation. It might delay your oath ceremony. So it's important to be prepared for that before you show up. If you lost your green card before the oath ceremony, it's important to make sure that they know that before, and they have a procedure that they're going to follow to make sure to note that this green card is no longer exists. Good questions from TikTok. Is it okay to have my interview for green card at 7 a.m. at UCIS? Magnificent is asking. Yeah, it's funny because people are asking. It's an interesting question. People are concerned if they have their interview really early in the morning or very late in the day, they think it's going to be some kind of a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. Typically, if it's the first thing in the morning, most likely you get an officer that is fresh, that is not aggravated, and they most likely will process your case. So it doesn't matter if it's early in the morning or late in the afternoon. I mean, I know there's a myth about it. People say, "Oh my God, if your interview is late in the morning." Let me see here. As a DACA holder, if I do advance parole, can I then later have my U.S. citizen child petition for me? So potentially, yes. If you have legal entry, then your U.S. citizen child can petition for you, a parent or a spouse. Absolutely. It is a good thing. Welcome. We have a lot of people that just joined. If you're watching this on TikTok, make sure you also follow my account so you don't miss any of the videos we post. We post videos every day. And also, if you're watching it now, there are 3 dots at the bottom of the screen. Click the 3 dots and share this live with somebody that might be following you as well. For those of you watching this on YouTube, if you need help with your immigration matter, just use the phone number right here. There's a text number up the screen here, specifically for you guys who are watching this live. Use it, mention that you were on the live, and book your appointments. We've got Riot. I'm under TPS, but I stayed in the country without status, but were admitted using a B2 visa. Can I adjust status for EB3? So if you are out of status, you're not going to be able to do the EB3 because you're not going to be able to adjust. You're going to have to go back to your home country and apply for the green card over there. Let's see. We have a lot of questions here. Let me try to get some more of these. Let's see here. My nephew, questions up. Rosa is asking, I became a U.S. resident for marriage. Where can I not travel to? I'm allowed to go to all countries. So yeah, there's no restriction on if you get a green card. For some reason, people are worried about traveling. If you have a green card based on marriage, there's no restriction on which countries you can go to. If you apply for advanced parole, you can go anywhere. You don't have to just go to the country where you put on the parole. You can go anywhere in the world. The only restrictions people have on travel is if they apply for asylum. When you apply for asylum, you cannot leave the country and go back to your home country. These are the only restrictions we have. What is the processing time for residency after you get VAWA approval? So remember, the VAWA, basically, if you apply for abuse-based green card based on abuse of VAWA, you've got 2 steps. You've got the I-360, and then you've got the adjustment of status. So the I-360 right now is taking over 4 years. It's taking a long time right now for VAWA cases. And then once they approve it, your adjustment shouldn't take more than a year. So it's not too bad. Really good questions today, guys. Us is asking, Us Hadri, why is USCIS taking forever to adjudicate requests for evidence? Well, the reason why is because whenever there is a request for evidence issued, it's going to a department. Thanks, God, I appreciate it. It's going to a department that processes these applications, and then they may need more information. They may need more evidence and things like that. So it's definitely something that might take longer for them to do it. Sometimes there are multiple people that are working on your request for evidence. It may not be just the one officer. So when they're shuffling those cases from one unit to another, things get delayed. And so I'm telling people, please work on your cases and file them properly so you don't get delays, because if you get an RFE, then it's going to be bad. Kata is asking, is RFE bad? I feel like we already sent so much evidence for a bona fide marriage. Well, an RFE is not bad necessarily. I'm just saying that it's just going to delay your case a little bit. It's not a bad thing. I mean, most people that receive requests for evidence, they get their cases approved. So it's not a bad thing. And as long as you respond to the RFE properly, then your case should be adjudicated and you will approve eventually. It's just going to take a little bit longer. Like I said, with USCIS, there used to be a time where, before COVID, I'm a member of the American Immigration Lawyers Association. And we used to go to a conference, a national conference, where representative from USCIS used to come and, share updates with us. It's still happening, but not in a bigger scale like it used to be, because they literally came and they were sitting down and telling us. And I remember that, we were able to meet with them after the presentations and just talk to them. And they usually tell us, they say, listen, when you send us those cases to the processing centers, to the National Benefit Center, to all these locations, these are literally processing, like warehouses where people are working, kind of like, think of a call center. And so these officers, they really appreciate when you send them a case that is really, really well organized. They appreciate when you don't flood them with evidence, because it causes them to work harder and it gets them annoyed. And so when they get annoyed, they will issue a request for evidence, right? Sometimes these requests for evidence are justified. And sometimes these requests for evidence are issued because they need to buy more time. Of course, you can't prove it, but it's clear. And I'll give you an example where somebody came to me, they filed a case with a paralegal, and the paralegal submitted the financials, but the tax returns were not complete. There were only certain pages missing. And so what happened is that when this officer probably received the case, he was so mad that he issued an RFE that included things that were already included in this case, because I looked at it. And so basically that is, so if you want to avoid an RFE, give them everything they need from day one. But an RFE is not a bad thing. Camila is asking, is lifting restrictions the same as extending your residency? And how do I know if it was processed well? Yes. So basically what you're asking is removing of conditions is the same as extending your green card. It's the same thing. And it's the reason it's called removal of conditions is because you have a 2-year green card, conditional green card, and now you're going to file to remove the conditions. And that's why they call it removal of conditions. All right. Now let's take a few more questions from our YouTube. We've got Chris. Chris Allen is asking, my wife was approved last June in Manila from the National Visa Center. How long does it take to get an interview? Now, remember that different embassies have different processing times. And if your case was documented complete in 2023, which is what it looks like, you're not going to get an interview in Manila until 2025. And the reason is because embassies like Manila, Islamabad, Lagos, and Mumbai are really, really slow right now. They're still catching up on cases from 2022. And so, unfortunately, people who got qualified in 2023 will have to wait at least another year. The only way to get around this, Chris, is to file an exception based on hardship to a U.S. citizen. We've been really successful with these expedites. And so if you need help with that and you're watching this on YouTube right now, use the phone number at the top of the screen. Use that number. Make sure you mention that you were on the live and book your appointment for an expedite. And those of you watching this on TikTok right now, you have a better way to do it. Just send me a DM or use the link in the bio to book your appointment. Anna is asking, does final action date matter for adjustment of status for marriage based green cards? Absolutely. So there are two charts on the visa bulletin: final action dates and dates for filing. The reason why it matters for adjustment of status, even though you can file before, if you're in the United States, you can use the dates of filing to file. Your green card is not going to be approved until the final action dates is going to be current, which means that people sometimes will wait 2 or 3 years to get their green cards unless their priority date is current. That's what it means. What about the new policy on overstay, that visa? Can the pandemic be a good reason? Again, so people are asking, this question refers to the video that I did a few days ago about the new policy. If you overstayed and then you have a good reason why you want to be able to file now with another status. The pandemic is not a good reason, because the pandemic is not something that happened. The pandemic happened to a lot of people, and also the pandemic things that can help, like excuses about the pandemic that people could use. Those were used actually before. They gave you the extensions to file for RFEs. They gave you the right to stay longer in the U.S. All these things are gone right now. They canceled the pandemic restriction, the pandemic what is called qualifications. So this new policy is outside of that. This new policy is about if things that happen to you because your employer forgot to give you a piece of paper, because you were not physically able to do something to file your application, and you tried. You know what I mean? Things like that. I think it's mostly going to be employer related. Things that happen to an employer that is trying to file an extension, but they haven't done it for you for whatever reason. Those are going to be those reasons for them to help. Let's see. A lot of good questions on YouTube here. We've got the phone number is not visible. Here we go. Here it is, Chris, or anybody else that needs to see it. This is the one you should use in case you want to communicate with me. Travia is asking, is it easier to travel between the Canada and the US with a TN or L visa? Which one is easier to get? So a TN is a work visa that you have an employer that's going to give you a work visa. An L visa is a visa that a company that you work for in Canada is going to transfer you to the US. Okay? Those are totally different visas. A TN visa is much easier to obtain than an L visa. L visa requires both documents from the foreign company and the local company. I probably should do a video about the L visa, specifically explain what it is. And people ask me about this, so I'll make a video explaining the difference between an L visa and the TN visa. Lizette is asking, I got my 45 approved through a visa U, but the lawyer said a notice came that I need to fix a deportation from 2015. They need to close the case. How long does it take? So basically what happens is that if you have an old deportation, it doesn't matter if you're married, you're a citizen, it doesn't matter if you have a U visa, you need to take care of that old deportation. You need to reopen that case, deal with it, and then go back to the immigration part. That's what the lawyer is trying to do, is trying to reopen the old case and get back to, to your deportation case. And, okay, so, if I change my status from a tourist visa to a student visa, how long does it take? Well, it depends, right? It depends on what school. Thanks, Kat. I appreciate it. Appreciate all the hearts and likes. You guys are the best. It depends. If you're going for school, if you're going to, depends on where the school is. It depends on what you're studying. It depends on which location in the United States. Typically, it's taking a while right now. You can try to expedite it, but make sure you do it when you still have enough time on your tourist visa. Otherwise, you're going to risk overstaying. All right, so that concludes our live stream on our YouTube side. YouTube friends, you can come back tomorrow. I'll be back here at the same time at 5 p.m. to ask questions. If I missed you today, I'll be back here tomorrow. TikTok, we still have time. Same thing for our Facebook group and our Instagram. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Have a nice Friday, and I'll see you back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Come back with your questions.